Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play AGEOD's Civil War. Last turn, we had quite an exciting turn. Grant got himself into a big, maybe Shiloh-like battle over here in northern Kentucky. We have some Confederate incursions up here in Pennsylvania. We got a handful to deal with here. So let's jump into it. What am I gonna do? Well, let's see. I had Thomas Meagher's Irish Brigade here south of Harrisburg fixing the railway. And he's completed doing that, so I'm going to railroad him back to Erasmus Keyes' corps, bringing him up to full strength, and he should be able to deal with E.K. Smith's corps outside Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, over the past 6 or 7 turns, I have created a bunch of new divisions in Washington, D.C., because I was sort of afraid my Washington, D.C. defenses weren't quite what I wanted them to be, although I did have strong defenses outside Washington in these two areas. So I had all those divisions, and I've made myself a new corps with 3 divisions plus Christopher Augur's Iron Brigade. You can see this is a corps of the same Union Army we've been using in the East, the Army under Irvin McDowell. So I'm going to take Crittenden, and just to start, I'll move him up to Harrisburg. That way he'll be on the scene to figure out what this guy's going to do. He might take Bellefonte, he might continue to move up into New York, up towards Buffalo and Rochester. I have no idea. He might hang a right and come to Harrisburg. But the goal of Crittenden's corps here is going to be to follow that guy and make sure he doesn't do any real damage. So that's leaving me with 2 divisions in Washington, D.C. on defense, which I'm not terribly pleased with. It seems pretty light to me. But I do have Franklin's 2 divisions in Alexandria. So I can always pull them back if I have to in very short order. So I'm going to hope I'm leaving enough in this region. Meanwhile, Phil Kearny's corps, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, here in Harper's Ferry. Look, here in Winchester, they only have a power 87 unit right now. I guess all the units that were here in this area either pulled south or joined up these guys up here in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to take advantage of this little lull, and I'll set Kearny on assault, and I'm going to have him take Winchester next turn. Hopefully the Confederacy doesn't pull up any reinforcements, so Kearny's free to move that way. So I think that's all that's going on here in the East. I don't think I've forgotten anything. We're going to end up with Keyes fighting this guy, Crittenden fighting that guy, Kearny moving down the Shenandoah, and at least some defenses back here in Washington, and I hope it's enough. Let's see what kind of resources I have left. $615,000 and 818 conscripts. I can raise more by clicking on these buttons and the call for volunteers. Now, I may do that before the end of this turn. I'll raise enough troops maybe in New York to fill a couple more divisions to send to Washington. So maybe 3 turns from now we'll have more defenses in the Washington area to compensate for the fact we're sending so many into Pennsylvania. Moving west, here's the situation. Grant's beat-up forces are sitting in Cincinnati, and the Confederates' hopefully beat-up forces have taken Dayton. The only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over here to Pittsburgh, where I had this 1 division defending. Now that Keyes is in the area, and it looks like he's going to stay in the area for a while, I'm going to pull this division and I'm going to add him to Grant's force. Unfortunately, when I do that, it looks like he wants to go through Dayton, which isn't what I want him to do. So let's see if I can't do this. We'll send him to Steubenville, then Jackson, and then through this area, and then into Grant. Okay, it looks like by taking that route, that railroad route, he'll get there in 11 days, and he won't go through Dayton, so we'll avoid having him run into a battle in that area. So hopefully by next turn, he'll get there, and Grant will have 1 more new division, plus however much these guys recover. And that'll be enough strength to deal with this group here. Excuse me. So I think that's all that's going on here in Kentucky. Moving farther west, Albert Sidney Johnston's force has pulled back from threatening Missouri. So that's good. I have Rosecrans still on standby. Still only the one division in Louisville, still recovering from that big battle a few turns ago, but Rosecrans could very quickly move there to bolster their defenses if there's a problem. And, oh, Van Dorn looks like he might want to be thinking about moving on Fayetteville. Let me take Sumner, just in case, and move him down towards Fayetteville. His cavalry units, they're not much, a total power of 125, but it's something. There's already a unit inside the city. If he decides he wants to take Fayetteville, I don't know how much I could do to stop him now. I'd have to pull a division or two out of Lyon's group and move him back up this way. Bad timing that he's coming this way as I'm descending on Little Rock. Lyon's continuing to descend on Little Rock. His cohesion's getting low. So I'm going to wait and have him move into this region. And then I'll have him rest for a little while. And then there'll be the big attack on Little Rock, maybe in 3 turns or something. Down here in New Orleans, we've taken Fort Jackson. Here's the garrison we captured. So I put them inside the city, put Hooker on defense for what it's worth, and I'll start him marching back towards New Orleans. Looks like I'll be in this region next turn, and then this region the turn after that. Once we have him regrouped in New Orleans, we're going to think about moving up this railroad. Maybe think about taking Jackson, Mississippi. Excuse me, I must have something in my throat. So, there is one important game mechanic we need to... Excuse me, let me pause the video and get something to drink. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So let's talk about this game mechanic we never talked about before. That's promoting generals. Here's Ulysses Grant. And in the last interturn, he lost that big battle, but on the other hand, he inflicted a lot of casualties. And as a result of that battle, he became promotable. Meaning if I click this button, he gets to become a 3-star. So it looks like since he's one of the most senior 2-stars that we right now have, we can do that at no cost. However, let me go down here to New Orleans, take a look at Joe Hooker. Because of his victory at Fort Jackson, and he's won victories at Fort St. Philip, he won one at Fort Pike, he won one at New Orleans, finally he's become promotable. So I can click this button and turn him into a 2-star. However, for Joe Hooker, this is going to come at a cost. Let me explain why. If I click to the ledger, I can click on this roster. So here's the roster of all my units. If I click on this bottom button, and then here, this has filtered it. So here's a list of all my generals. And I can sort this. If I click on the rank button, this is going to sort all my generals first by their rank. So here's all the 3-stars from Fremont down to Halleck. And then here's all my 2-stars from Grant and then all this other page. So rank is only one of the 2 statistics that comes into play here. Rank 2 means Grant is a 2-star right now. The fact that he's red means I can promote him right now. But another statistic that these generals have is called seniority, which is sort of has to do with how politically connected they are, how politically important they are. Ulysses S. Grant is my most senior 2-star general, so his seniority is 2. The smaller the number, the more senior he is. The next in line is McClellan, who is seniority 3, and so on. So I can promote Grant right now at no penalty because he's the most senior 2-star. So none of these guys who are less senior than him have any reason to complain. If I sort of go to the next page, let's say, here's Joe Hooker. He's right now a 1-star. He's red because he's promotable. But you see his seniority is 8. There are other more senior 1-stars. General Ord, Sherman, Curtis, Lyon, Thomas. They're all more senior to them and all 1-star. So if I promote Hooker now, this is going to come at a cost because these guys above him have a reason to complain. I can't promote any of these guys because they haven't won any battles recently. Hooker's won battles recently, so he's become promotable. I can promote him, but it'll be at a cost. So I need to think about, is it worth it for me to promote him now, even though it comes at the cost? The cost, if I read this after hovering over his promote icon, it'll cost me 16 victory points, no national morale points, and George H. Thomas will lose seniority points. Now, I'm not terribly concerned about the loss of victory points. 16 isn't all that big of a number anyway. It looks like I'll lose no national morale. That's good, because I wouldn't want to lose any national morale. George Thomas losing seniority points, that sort of stinks, because I'd like to promote him at some point too. He's right now at the head of a division serving under Grant. But I think this is worth the cost, because Joe Hooker is the only general I have down here in New Orleans who's worth anything. I'm not going to be able to get another 2-star general into this area anytime soon because, well, I'd have to use my boats, and I'd have to pull these boats all the way back to, where'd my boats go? Oh, they're in New Orleans. Here they are. I have to pull these all the way back to the East Coast to pick somebody up to bring them all the way back here. Doesn't seem worth it when I can just promote Hooker, so now I'll have a 2-star on the scene down here in New Orleans. So that's what I'm doing. Let me pause the game. I'll do the inner turn, and when it's done, I'll show you the results of my promoting these generals. Okay, so, like, did I miss something? I don't really know how this happened, but James Longstreet, was he the general who was moving up into Pennsylvania earlier? Anyway, he came down to Baltimore. Somehow passed right by Crittenden's corps that was moving up to Harrisburg, and he's taken it. So that's really bad news. I got to take Baltimore back in a hurry. I don't want them to hold on to that. There was a garrison there, 2,000 men. We lost them all. They lost 1,700 troops, so sort of that's good news. At least my small garrison took as much as it got. But still, we lost Baltimore. That's no good. Here, I'll pause it. We'll see what else happens. So on the bright side, Phil Kearny took Winchester. They had a garrison there, 2,400 men, and lost them all, and our losses weren't terribly severe. So that's good news. Let's see what else happened. All right, so that's it for that inner turn. Now let me just show you. Here's Joe Hooker. We promoted him. He's now a 2-star since he's only leading 2 divisions. Earlier he had a command penalty, which is now gone. So that's really good news. Even better, here's Lewis Grant. He's now a 3-star. That's great news. We want him to be in as high command as we can get him. Now earlier, let me end this video by showing you this last thing. I had sent an Army HQ unit to join him, hoping that someday he will become a 3-star and we can give him an army. So let me hover over the Army button. The Army situation sort of works the same way that promotions do. Higher seniority generals are going to want armies. And if I give it to a lower seniority 3-star, then it'll come at a cost. So hovering over this, it says, sure, you can give Grant an army now, but John Fremont in St. Louis is higher seniority. So if I name Grant to a command now, it'll cost me 4 national morale points and 110 victory points. That's quite a hit. On the other hand, Fremont stinks as a general, and Grant is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button. Here we go. Now, Grant is in charge of the Army of the Ohio. He's in charge of 4 divisions with no command penalty. So that's fantastic. Let me end this video here, and next turn we'll see if we can't get things organized here. We got armies to contend with in Dayton. Apparently Indianapolis is now being attacked. Baltimore is lost. So we have some issues. No, here's the army that was heading up this way. So I don't know how Longstreet snuck his way through. But yeah, we got issues to deal with here, guys. So let me end this video, and we'll start to deal with